Colin, let's go to the Denver Broncos. Listen, we could do an hour on this game.
Oh,
You and I both had the Broncos. I will go to my grave saying that with the right side. This guy misses a 60-yard field goal. They call this terrible flag. If I could say cuss words on this show, I would. And they get 15 yards, 15. And the guy makes a 45-yarder. After the game, Sean Payton had this to say about the leverage call.
Obviously, a disappointing loss. We did a lot of things late in that game to keep us from winning. It'll be painful to watch that film, and yep, we'll get the corrections made.
they gave it away. I mean, J.K. Dobbins spiking a ball, a tight end with a dumb mistake. They gave him a second look at a field goal. By the way, for the record, Shane Steichen's a great play call.
Yes.
But his play calling at the end of regulation was abysmal. Shane. And I kept thinking, there's got to be a trick play. There's got to be a misdirection. He ran the ball into the line 3 times, setting his kicker up for like a 58-yarder. It's 60, like, Shane,
yeah. What are you
doing? That's not what your kicker can do. So the first kick goes wide right and is short. So Shane, the difference between being a head coach and a coordinator, Shane Steichen really whiffed on his play calling at the end of the game, and the Broncos bailed him out. That was a Denver game, but Indy made 1 mistake and it didn't cost him. Denver made 3 and it cost him the game.
So yeah, it's indefensible. It really is truly indefensible. And a lot of people, because obviously it was an Eagles-Chiefs game, which was a big game, and I did the post game, and a lot of people were like, are you going to talk about the Broncos? Are you going to talk about Broncos? And it's like, yeah, I apologize for not being able to do a post-game video after that. Just sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. With all the other games trying to catch up and whatnot. But this loss was indefensible. I talked all off season going into this season that the way the Broncos finally turned the corner here, and you now are no longer bullied by the Chiefs, is by not losing games like this, right? That's the benefit of a Sean Payton having this team ready for all the many little moments throughout a game. Okay? The Broncos straight up, they should be 2-0, and the Chiefs should be 0-2. And now the winner of the Chargers-Raider 2-0, one like the Chiefs, should be in a distance last place, and the Broncos up 2. Now they're 1-1. All of these things matter. All of these things matter. And it's indefensible, that final drive. Like, we can talk about that being a bad penalty or whatever, for the field goal. Sean Payton said it. We did a lot of things for us to not win that game, for us to lose the game. This was self-inflicted. Don't get it twisted. That final drive, first off, the missed field goal. Here's the reality. You're going to miss field goal sometimes. It's just an unfortunate reality of football. It's going to happen. And it just never seems to happen when you're already up 42-7, right? So, that's going to happen. But that field goal should have been either 20 yards closer or shouldn't even been a field goal, because you should have been able to ice the game. Either it should have been able to score a touchdown or just to be able to keep milking the clock, but then you're getting all these penalties. That drive that at one point ended up being, I think it was 1st and 25. You get the delay of game penalty. It was just all stuff where it's just like, what are you doing right now? This is poor execution, man. This is poor execution in an otherwise game where they were executing offensively at least incredibly well. Bonix played awesome. He obviously had the one errant throw that just got away from him. Like I said, you're going to miss a field goal. You're going to make a bad throw. But the DC, it's not like he made a bad decision. And the throw just got away from him. But Bix played really, really well, especially considering he needed a bounce back game. He hit 10 different receivers, 22 for 30, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, 6.9 yards per attempt, 111.2 passer rating, 3 carries for 20 yards. This was an offensive game that you wanted to be able to see. And I said going into this game that I think Shane Steichen is a great coach, and I was always excited to see what Daniel Jones looked like with that. And the defense, I don't want to say that they didn't do a good enough job, because they did a good enough job to win this game, and sometimes this is the way these games look. I think the Colts have a lot more firepower than people give them credit for. And they've always been difficult to gauge because their quarterback situation has been such a mess. But I kept saying that Shane Stein was a play away from getting into the playoffs and beating the Houston Texans with Garner Minshew. So this was always going to potentially be a sneaky difficult game. But this is just not a game that you should have lost. The Colts gave you 11 gifts, 11 penalties. That's a ton of penalties. But the Broncos themselves had 8 penalties. It's like, what are you doing? And they were 3 for 3 in the red zone. 3 for 3 in the red zone. It's like, just get to the red zone. And Bo Nix and Sean Payton are getting you into the end zone, right? So there's still so much to love here. The is where it was a little tough because the Broncos defense was hardly great relatively to what I believe that they could be, but speaking of red zone defense, 2 for 6. That's great. 2 for 6. That's a great percentage, honestly. So you would be happy with that, red zone defensive percentage, but they got to the red zone 6 times. That's a lot. That's a lot. When the Eagles hung 55 points in the NFC Championship game, they got to the red zone 7 times. And remember, there were 3 turnovers in that game that I think it was 3 that they forced. So letting the Colts get to the red zone 6 times, it's frustrating because, again, you're looking at the Broncos, you're in the AFC. How are you going to fare against the Ravens? How are you going to fare against the Bills? These are all the things that you got to clean up. You got to clean up. I mean, losing a game like this is genuinely devastating. Is too strong of a word, but you shouldn't downplay it either. You really shouldn't. And again, this is not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that the Broncos are bad and that they're overrated and they're not that good. Like, I'm not saying any of that. They just, when you have high expectations, when you actually have a real chance to win the division, you have a real chance to win the division for the first time in whoever knows how long. These games are crushing because you should win. You got to win the games that you're supposed to win. You got to win the games that you controlled the entire game, start to finish. That's the thing that's frustrating. That's the thing that, to me, becomes indefensible. And that's why Sean Payne feels too painful to watch that film. He's saying it himself, so you can't say, oh my God, Julian, you're being too strong about this. He's saying it himself. He's like, this is painful. This is painful. So don't let so you don't have to say, no, I'm not allowed to feel this way. Or, no, it's okay. It's just one game. Like, we'll be better next week. We know all that. That's all there. But you still have to accept the reality of the moment. You still have to accept the frustration. Then you move on. It's okay to still have the reaction on Monday, Tuesday, etc. But a game like this where there was just so much to like, you're just like, come on. Because it felt like the offense was able to get going when it needed to. And then when there was going to be a key momentum swing, the defense could step up. Like, you were doing some of these little things, which, again, watch the Eagles-Chiefs game. It was a very ugly game on both sides, for both teams on both sides of the ball. Just kind of an ugly, gritty game. But you could see that when there was plays that needed to be made, the tiny little details that needed to be executed, it was done. And that's ultimately why the Eagles were able to come away with that win. It wasn't because Saquon Barkley was unstoppable. It wasn't because it was a masterclass by Fangio or Kevin Patullo, their coordinators. It wasn't A.J. Brown just going off. It was all the little things in an ugly game. That's especially when you're really looking at all the little things. And now in a game where the Broncos offense is playing better than what the Chiefs did offensively, what the Eagles did offensively, what lots of teams did offensively over week 2, but then they didn't do the little things, and you're just like, no, that's not how this is supposed to work here. That's not how you're going to win the division when you have Harbaugh and Herbert and the Chargers, when you have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Spags, right? And now you have Geno and Pete Carroll. The little things, the little things, the little things, the little things. That's why it's going to be painful to watch that film. Sean Payne's words, and it's tough because he also knows those little things are also more on him to a degree of making sure that these guys understand the assignment. It's not just like, we just weren't good enough, or Boyks just missed the throw. It's not the case here. It's all the other stuff. It's the preparation and the execution. What are you doing and why are you doing it? So, I am going to be harsh on the Denver Broncos here because they should be 2-0. And again, this is not doom and gloom. We can criticize, we can unpack the nuance, we can be frustrated, we can be angry, we could be sad, we could defend them. You could have all the conversations. Doesn't always have to just be one-sided. And like I said, I'll just leave it here as I've said this now 4 or 5 times throughout this clip. Sean Payne himself said, painful to watch that film. And it's true. I think that sums it up perfectly. But this is how you grow. This is how you evolve. The team needs to come together. The players themselves need to feel like they let themselves down. So it's never again. It's preparation. And it's understanding this is how small this margin of error is in the NFL. You could be 0-2 or you could be 2-0, right? The Eagles could genuinely be 0-2 right now, but instead of them taking care of what they need to do exactly when they need to, they're 2-0. The Dallas Cowboys could be 2-0. They're 1-1. The Kansas City Chiefs could genuinely be 2-0. They're 0-2. The Denver Broncos could genuinely be 0-2. They're 1-1. They could have been 2-0. It's how this works in the NFL, man. This is why a win is never just a win. There's always film to look at. There's always things to learn and grow and evolve with. And you can't reject it. You can't deny it. You can't push it away. So it's a tough one, no question about it. But this is a team that's still growing. This is a team that's still evolving. Still would like to see this team feel a little bit more settled. I loved what they did offensively. They were so balanced, but I still would like things to feel a little bit less intense. But I really did like their offense. I love the passing game again, hitting 10 different receivers. Was running the ball like it was a very balanced approach. But yeah, you come away with the loss and a game that you clearly should have won. It's just, it'll always be a tough pill to swallow. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Denver Broncos? How did you feel about after that week 2 loss against the Colts? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.